Hey guys, welcome back to Talks with Kadeja, where we talk a little bit about everything. As you could see, I am using a camera. I don't know how the quality is gonna look because this camera, it does a little 1-2-1-2. So if it look a little retro, then it's all about the message, not about the quality all the time. Okay. So this is my second episode of my podcast, Talks with Kadeja, where we go into topics and kind of just give you a different perspective on things. And this is a perspective that I really wanted to talk about for a while. Or not a while, but it's something that has been kind of like on my mind lately, is choices. I'm a believer that there's no such thing as making the right or wrong choice. Now, morally, I'm not saying, obviously there are certain things you shouldn't do and don't do, obviously, at all. Like, we're not talking about like ethically and morally. I'm talking about more of your choice for yourself in the future and what you want for yourself. Because I am a recent grad, guys. I graduated literally like 2-3 days ago. Oh my gosh, give it up for your girl. But it made me think about, a lot of things that recent grads go through with, what I'm going through and what other people have went through, is that idea of like, what does the future hold? And what choices do I make? Because I feel like we're always so forced to always be like, you have to make the right choice, but there's not really a right choice. And what I mean by this is, think about it. Your life is in your hands and you have the freedom to do whatever you want. Even if you don't have the financial, means, or you might have personal reasons why certain things can't be done at that moment, you still have the capabilities of doing anything you want. And I think listening to other people is not a bad thing, but a lot of people are biased. They're basically going based off what they have went through. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. My grandmother. I love her dearly, love grandma, but we kind of bicker a lot because there are things that I want to do that she doesn't agree with, and she tries to give me advice, which some of the advice I do, I take, because obviously she's older, she's wiser, and she has a lot of things that she can, share with me. And I'm not saying that, but like when it comes to my life and what I want to do as a career with my choices, she's just like, well, I wouldn't do it like this, or I wouldn't do that. And for me, I'm like, well, this is my life and this is what I want to do. It's not about what you want to do. You can give me advice, but I need to be able to make those choices for myself. Because I will give you an example of kind of what's happening in my life. So at the moment, as a recent grad, luckily I have kind of something that I'm lined up to work for a few months. Well, I'm in the process of, job hunting, of course, and things like that. And I do have this one job that technically right now I accepted. And it's until August, but it is in my field, so that's cool. But the thing is, it is a temporary job. But there's also other jobs that are coming in, and if it offers me something better, a better opportunity, then of course I would take it. But I'm kind of just in that process, and one of my goals is to move out of my dad's place because I'm staying with him for now, and my goal is for about a year or a year and a half, and then I do plan on like leaving and moving to California or a state that I really want to try, and kind of going from there. And I told my grandma about my plan, and she was like, well, you should do this and you should do that. Or she's like, you should wait a little bit longer. Like, they really don't want me to leave. Obviously, that's my grandma, that's my family. Of course they care about me. And, of course I'm very I'm very appreciative of that. But I realize, I'm like, well, that is not your choice to make. I'm like, I'm going to do it that way. And I realize if I fail, I tried. That's not me making a wrong choice. That's me trying something, listening to myself, and learning. The wrong choice is a lesson choice. It is a learning choice. It is not something that is wrong or right. It's okay, this is what I learned from it. I'm like, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how California is gonna look. I don't know. I have a plan, but just because I have a plan, you know, life don't care about your vision board. I will always say that life don't care about your vision board. Life don't care about your plan. Life just be lifing. And I said at the moment that is my plan. But I shouldn't have to make a decision or a choice because we think it's going to be the wrong choice, because you're going to sacrifice something either way. There is something that you're going to do that you're going to sacrifice. You're going to sacrifice. It doesn't matter. A good example would be, as we're on the topics of jobs, let's say your goal in life is to just, like, kind of like me, move to another state. Okay, that's me. Your choices are, I need to, if I want to move, let's just say I want to move in 6 months, which I'm giving myself a year, but that could happen too. Let's just say I want to move in 6 months. Obviously, one of the choices is I'm going to work a lot. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to save up. I'm going to make sure like I have the money to go. The sacrifices, you might not have as much free time. The sacrifices, you might be, doing overtime. The sacrifices, your budget is going to be a lot more tighter. I just looked at my camera just to see the quality, and I realized my blush is fucking blushing right now. Like, the blush is just blushing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like a tomato right now, but it's okay. It's okay. It's about the message, not the quality all the time. But basically what I was going to say is the other choice that you could make is, hey, I'm going to just work part-time. I'm going to kind of let loose a little bit, but you still trying to save in 6 months. That could mean you get to spend more time with your friends or people around you. You get to spend a little bit more money and you kind of get to enjoy. But the sacrifices, you may not hit your goal faster. The sacrifices, you're probably not going to move in 6 months. The sacrifices is you're not going to get to where you want to go, but you still do have more of that experience. You see, one side of the coin is you get to your goal, but you might miss a little bit of life for a minute because you're grinding. But the sacrifices, because you didn't grind, you're not at your goal and it may take a little bit longer for you to get there. Not exactly, both are not bad choices. They're really just about priorities. It's not about right or wrong. It's more about, what do you learn from that? Was that something that you wanted to do? And that's how you grow and learn, because we are all going to make wrong choices or choices that are not ideal, because that's just life. Once again, there's obviously wrong choices, like we know that, but I'm saying like for your life and for your future, there are things that you may feel like, oh, if I didn't make this, because I have that issue too. My issue is I listen to too many people and then it does kind of mess up my decision making. So you are not alone, because I do it and it's something I'm still working on. But you know who you are, or you're finding yourself, and it is your life. It is your life. It is not theirs. It is yours. Just because it doesn't make sense to them, that doesn't mean anything. Because one thing about me, I'll say, is it don't got to make sense to anybody. As long as it makes sense to me and I'm not hurting anybody, then what can, if I'm not hurting myself or anybody else, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Because some people are going to tell you, save up for a year, save up at your parents, which understandably with this economy, I get it. But other people might be like, no, just go ahead and move. You'll figure it out. You'll see where to go from there. And it's like, especially after you graduate, they're like, oh, go travel for a year. Go try to find a full-time job. Go do some random stuff. And everyone is telling you to do this. But in reality, all of that is not wrong. It is just what you want to do. Maybe your goal is to just get a full-time job right now. You want to travel later. Maybe someone else's is to travel and then get a full-time job, or travel or start a business. You don't want to start a business. You want to work corporate, so work corporate. Some people don't know what the heck they want to do and they just here. None of it is wrong. It is just a priority of what you want. Stop looking at social media and saying, hey, I have to do this, I have to do that. No, you don't. If you don't want to model, don't model. If you don't want to travel, don't travel. I recommend traveling though, I'm just saying. I'm a little biased on that one, but travel. If you do not want to own a business, please don't own a business. Everyone thinks you got to own a business. You don't got to, okay? You don't have to, because you don't do it because other people do it. If you don't want to be a content creator, don't be one. If you want to be one. If you want to do videos and do production, because I do that for a living, do that. If you want to be a makeup artist, do that. And if it doesn't work out, it wasn't the wrong choice. Guess what you did? You learned a skill. You got something else under your belt, and you can use that for the next phase of your life. Even if you move out and it doesn't work, you got to understand what independence is. You got to see what it takes to actually be independent. A wrong choice isn't a wrong choice. You started that business failed. Now you understand how a business works. Now you know what you need to do to start that foundation again. Because this is what I'm going through right now. You lost weight and then you gained some of that back. You know what happened, and now you are back on your journey. You tried content creation. Me, low-key. Again, why am I targeting myself? You do content creation. You haven't been consistent. You post and maybe stuff hasn't been, blowing up or whatever the case may be. You learned how to make a video. You learned what works and what doesn't. It's not a failure. You're just learning. That's all it is. That's why I'm saying there's no right choice or wrong choice. Of course, in the idea of you and your future and what you want. So please remember, your choices do affect you, and it do have consequences. Every choice has a consequence. I don't care if it's a good or a bad choice. People don't realize that. I think that's another thing we need to get into is positive or negative, they all have consequences.